Hi.
Can you talk to us about your role in the show and how you use it?
My name's Adina Porter. I get to play Prioress in Paper Girls. And I auditioned. You know, it was during COVID time, so I got an email saying that put yourself on tape for this particular role. I don't believe that I got a script beforehand. I was not aware of the amazing comic books, the Paper Girls. And I try not to do too much research before the audition because I don't want to freak myself out about what everyone else has done. Like when I auditioned for True Blood, I had no idea that Alan Ball had just won an Oscar. And I was intrigued about how Prioress, when she changes time, she adapts to whatever time she happens to be in to make herself at home and to make her victims or the people that she's working with at ease, that you know she's not from somewhere else, and so she's a bit of a chameleon, which I thought was just like how much fun to play. And my callback was also on Zoom, and I'm excited to get the job. And it was also in the middle of COVID, so it's like, yay!
Yeah, now you've done some genre stuff before. You mentioned True Blood, Adina, obviously the 100. We've also done very human series. Newsroom obviously comes to mind. Paper Girls for me is a bit of a balance of the two, right? Can you talk a little bit about making sure you balance out with, right? I mean, especially the moment at the end, where it makes her more human. You can relate to her more as opposed to the badass she is at the beginning.
Right. I love the fact that this is a story about young women. Can I be the fact that we're talking about young women having their menstrual cycles and all the things that go along with that? I have an 11-year-old daughter, you know, so I was just thrilled about that not being a taboo subject, but something that, you know, half the population goes through. And if one has an opportunity to meet themselves years from now, you know, so in that way it is very, very human, you know. I think it's funny still that the 80s and 90s are throwbacks to me. They're yesterday. You know, I'm sure I'm wearing a piece of clothing that I've owned since then. But yeah, it's about these young women coming to age and all the trials and tribulations that they go through. And if you're following or chasing people through time, you cannot help but also think about what you would have done if you were these young girls, and you know this happenstance happens to you, you know, on one day after Halloween.
So, Adina, I have a question. You mentioned, you know, this is a coming-of-age story for young women. What is the one thing, or a couple of things, that you hope young women take from this series as they're watching it?
Right off the bat, make sure that you can get any particular job that you can get. You know what I mean? Like if in our story, it's paper boys that are becoming paper girls. It could be, you know, trying out for the football team, you know, or if you're a guy trying out for the cheerleading squad, you know, not being put into a box by any particular gender role, you know, so there's that. You know, I love the fact that there are three-dimensional Asian characters, you know, that are, you know, because it's sometimes, you know, there's the white people and everyone else is just kind of like the funny sidekick or whatever, and I love the fact that this is not the case in Paper Girls. I guess just I love these women, these young girls discovering who they when the going gets tough. And I guess also Prioress, who she discovers she is. Because you can just be a soldier that follows along and does exactly what your commanders tell you to do, right or wrong. That happens sometimes, and then you get charged because you happen to be, what was it, like in Brussels? Yeah. There's somebody like 102 years old who was just arrested because he was a soldier at a particular concentration camp. So it caught up with him eventually, just following orders. Paper Girls goes through this amazing journey of self-discovery and pushing the boundaries over different times.
Talk a little bit to us. Let's go meta. Let's go behind the scenes, right? Because it is very much a story about generation and what you choose. The old guard doesn't want time to change, and the young guard does. You're working with a brand new generation of actors who are very impressive. They look to you as a mentor, asking for advice. What was that like?
Sometimes their parents were. Not them. I kind of forgot that they were children. I remembered when it was like, okay, we got to take a break because, their union rules, they can only work for this many hours. That's the only time that I remembered that I was working with children. They were incredibly professional, knew their lines, didn't play around, or if they did, it was for a second and they got right back up into getting stuff done so that no money was wasted because of any childishness. I'm also going to say I'm not going to give advice because the way that I built my career kind of doesn't exist anymore. They don't have to wait for an agent to discover them. They can put their stuff online and the world comes to them. So, people weren't asking for my opinion because the rules have changed. I guess the only thing that the parents were asking about, because I guess I can be approachable as well as beyond grateful that I have been able to rediscover and reinvent myself. Beyond grateful to have that opportunity and get to do that in this project as well. I like to do my own thing, and not too many people ask for too much notice.
I have a question. In reverse, being like one of the few adults in the series, is there anything that you expect from this ensemble of young women?
I gotta accept the fact that I'm the adult. Just accept it and being the elder and embrace it. But I can tell you that since we've been working together, just this weekend, I am beyond impressed with the answers that these young women are giving. Hope for the future. And then also just enjoying the moment. We've got good stories to tell our grandchildren what we did during a pandemic.
You opened the door and there was the 14-year-old version of you.
I would hug her and I would say, you're not going to believe this. But in a few years, people are going to pay to have your breath. They're going to pay to have your lips. Walk proud. Hold your head up high. Because I wasn't given that message enough. The people before me weren't given that message. So I'm just going to tell her that hold on to the bell bottoms.